Hello, Kenyans. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Politrix, a channel that will be bringing to you analysis on politics and politicians' behaviors. As we have seen, what has been going on in our political circles the last few years, the last 10 years, and the last 20 years. I think there's a way that Kenyans need to understand politicians and politics in general so that then we start to make the right decisions at the ballot or elsewhere. So I would want to start by saying that in politics, you do not listen to what they say. Do not really bother much on what they have said, what has already been said. But take what has been said and try to figure out what has not been said. Because what a politician will communicate will have lesser meaning if you just take it, as it has been put. But if you try to figure out what really it means by trying to understand what has not been said, then you will make a lot of meaning to what the politicians have said. So, more to actions than words. That is basically what politicians are all about. So today I want to focus on what has happened to Ndidi Nyoro, the Kiharu MP, and try to understand why he's been persecuted after he supported William Ruto vehemently and vigorously in the last election. And he been replaced with somebody who opposed William Ruto all through during the campaign and during the past 2 years. So it is important that we understand why. But of course, we cannot be sure, but we can try to analyze and see what could be the reasons behind the persecution or the removal or the seclusion of Ndidi Nyoro from the chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee of the National Assembly. We all have seen, remember, Ndidi Nyoro was persecuted by the previous regime for his association with William Ruto. He's among the people who faced the wrath of the former president, because of their close associations with the current president. So the question that really then beckons is what happened between these two leaders? Remember, Ndidi Nyoro was the poster boy for William Ruto. He used to take with him, William Ruto used to carry Ndidi Nyoro abroad to America, to UK. In fact, after the election of William Ruto as president, Ndidi Nyoro was a very close friend to the president. So we should be asking ourselves, what really went wrong? Or could there be something more than what we can see? Should we overthink? What do we expect going forward? So these are serious things that we must really be considering so that we will be able to bring to the fore the true meaning of the removal, the persecution, or the seclusion of Ndidi Nyoro from the Budget and Appropriations Committee of the National Assembly. And for me, one reason why Ndidi Nyoro has been persecuted is because he did not take part in voting for the impeachment of the former deputy president, Mr. Rigathi Gachagua. But that's not the point. Besides, what message could Ndidi Nyoro be sending to the powers that be? In politics, you must show strength. And showing strength You must not be right and you must not be wrong. Strength will come in when a leader is decisive and is able to take a bold step and be ready for the consequences. So it seems that to the powers that be, Ndidi Nyoro is not that person because he shied away from categorically not voting or criticizing or even voting no or yes for the impeachment motion. So then that speaks about the character, the strategy of Ndidi Nyoro. He cannot be relied upon by the powers that be. Why? Because then he did not take a firm stand. You know, out of the people who have been very vocal or people who opposed that impeachment, you know, we cannot really vote Ndidi Nyoro for either voting yes or voting no because he has remained silent. So no one knows which side he is. So if you want people who can really take a decision and stick with it, you will not go for Ndidi Nyoro because when the room gets hit, Ndidi Nyoro will sit on the fence. That is first mistake that he committed, in my opinion. And that is why he's been persecuted by being removed from the powerful chairperson of the Budget and Appropriations Committee. That is my understanding. Number two, another reason why, if it is not number one, possibly it is number two, why he's been removed. Probably we are witnessing high octane politics. Remember the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua made him the most powerful man in Mount Kenya, the vote-rich region. So therefore, the president or the powers that be must be having sleepless nights on how to stop Gachagua. And this removal of Ndidi Nyoro could be a blessing in disguise, could be an hatchet plan to elevate him. First of all, you create, sympathy to him. When you impeach him, you make him very popular, and therefore he is elevated to another level. And people will start now considering him for any meaningful position, and probably even he's going to start his own party, and that is how he will be used to checkmate Gachagua in Mount Kenya. So that is a possible political strategy that the powers that be could be using so that because they can see Gachagua is really reeling in Mount Kenya, he is sweeping across in Mount Kenya, and there needs to be somebody elevated to counter him because if that doesn't happen, then it will be an early sweep for any person who will be supported by Rigathi Gachagua and Mount Kenya region. So it is possible that the powers that be are using this impeachment or rather this removal of Ndidi Nyoro as a strategy to elevate him. First, to create sympathy, and then he is elevated. He becomes so powerful to an extent of forming a political party, and then goes for the presidency with only one objective, not Ndidi Nyoro's objective, but the powers that be's objective to checkmate Rigathi Gachagua. And that is a divided Mount Kenya because you cannot underrate Ndidi Nyoro because he has shown and proven beyond reasonable doubt his leadership and development credentials. Is a class above the rest. Number three, reason why I think could be also Ndidi Nyoro is being prosecuted. If it is not number one, it is not number two, could be number three. Kimani Ichung'wah factor. We all know that fahali wawili hawakai zizi moja. And we have all seen how Kimani Ichung'wah has been a very effective a very effective tool for William Ruto, the president, His Excellency, when he wants to have something done. So you cannot have the Nyoro here who appears to be disloyal, who seems to have ambitions, and you have Kimani Ichung'wah here who is a loyal and again very effective in executing any duties which have been given to him by the powers that be. So then it becomes necessary I will call it a necessary evil to do away with Ndidi Nyoro, crush him, so that now you give Kimani Ichung'wah the space, because he has shown and proven that he's a man on a mission. He understands the assignment very well. You know, it doesn't matter how people perceive it, but to the master that Kimani Ichung'wah is serving, he is the most useful person now for any meaningful adventure politically. And so that's why I think Ndidi Nyoro will be removed from that position. In fact, he has been removed, so that then Kimani Ichung'wah is comfortable and he feels like then he has the grip of the side of the mountain that supports the government. Finally, number 4, we all appreciate the cooperation agreement between UDA and ODM. It was a give and take. In fact, it is ODM, Samuel Atandi, who has occupied that position Ndidi Nyoro was sitting on. Samuel Atandi is the new chair of Budget and Appropriations Committee. So now, if you look at it from those lenses, you understand that this is one of the positions that ODM demanded. And then UDA had to cede ground. Whether Ndidi Nyoro had shown cold feet towards government, whether Ndidi Nyoro was a very strong supporter of government, I feel like ODM demanded this position. So whoever was going to occupy that position was going to come from ODM. And so that made it very difficult for anybody other than an ODM person to occupy that position. And for that matter, Ndidi Nyoro had to go. And you understand the matrices that we're talking about. The politics of today have been very complicated. The permutations are not easy to navigate. And so the president and the UDA party had to cede ground and just allow ODM, no matter the cost, have that position. Because today, as we speak, if ODM tomorrow wakes up and decides that, Mr. President, we cannot support you anymore. Our cooperation and association is no longer tenable. It is over for William Ruto. That's the reason why, in my opinion, it was necessary, it was imperative that that position of Budget and Appropriations Committee is taken over by ODM, so that there appears to be true political will and association between the two parties. And for that, Ndidi Nyoro had to go. So that is my take. And before I go, I ask us to subscribe and please place your comments on what you want us to talk about, because really we would want to talk about politics, different sides of politics, without supporting a candidate, just to analyze and predict what is likely to happen. And of course, that will be our role and my role here. And thank you so much. Have a good time. Until next time. Peace. Is Fidel, the analyst. Thank you.